A lot of the show has been about supply chains. The plight of the giant meat packer during the early days of the pandemic did open the door for more nimble processors. The local meat locker has served families for generations. For the last 2 years, the new norm is a busy one year-round. Once again, Peter Tubbs has more.
The employees of the Corning Meat Processing Service are gathered around the cut table on a Wednesday morning, cutting meat for a customer who had a steer processed with the Iowa-based company. Their goal is to finish breaking these sides down along with the meat from 2 more steers by the end of the day. Tomorrow they will return to process 3 more animals from a different customer. The locker has been on this pace for 2 years, since the COVID-19 pandemic put kinks in the meat supply chain, which forced producers and customers to explore new delivery methods, including a direct line from the farm to the table. But it wasn't always this busy for this small-town locker.
Coming March, April, May has always been kind of a open time. We didn't know some days we'd cut every day. We'd be booked out maybe a couple weeks at the most. We went from nothing to do, just very little to do, to booked clear full April, May. I went out as far as a year and 10 months, booked solid full, and with a waiting list of probably about 80 people with 120 head of livestock wanting in. So it went absolutely from nice, like to be a little busier, to absolutely overloaded.
The new demand for local meat extended more than 80 miles away from Adams County.
We have a lot of people coming from Omaha or Des Moines, out of the cities that were looking for meat because they couldn't buy meat in the stores. They were limited to 1 or 2, 3 pieces in the stores. So they started digging out into the country looking for quarters and halves and pork. So it extended it way out and brought a lot of new people in that's never ever experienced a butcher shop.
That jump in demand has meant a 40% increase in the number of animals slaughtered at the small facility, and a similar increase in the pounds of meat cut and wrapped by its employees. David Walter has been in the meat business since 1985, when he began working at the Corning locker. A decade and a half later, he became the owner, and he was glad he had the long lead time to learn the business.
I worked for my boss 15 years. I don't regret a time of it. Yeah, you could get by with 7, 8 years. It's like I told Jacob, he works with me for 5, 6, 7 years. He's really digging in and finding and learning all about it. You walk into it blindsided, you're going to get blindsided. It's how it's going to happen.
Jacob Cross started working for Walter as a teenager and returned 2 years ago as a full-time employee. Cross is now planning on buying the locker when Walter retires.
We have people that come, even from when I worked here back in 2005, still coming, and Dave's been here a long time before me, and people's grandparents, fathers, now sons, and now their kids are starting to come, and Dave's seen all of them, they remember, so that's kind of cool to be a part of something that generations have always came to this place.
The building has been a meat locker since the 1950s, and Walter has continued to renovate the facility. A new refrigeration system was added in 2019, and a value-added producer grant from the USDA financed the purchase of a meat slicer and electric smoker. The tools will help expand the menu into ready-to-eat products they currently don't sell to consumers.
When I hired him 2 years ago to come in and really follow my footsteps and push things to go and get things to go farther and let him either manage or own this thing down the road, we're looking at doing some new brats, things for the case to sell, new sticks, different things that way.
Local lockers are important to their communities, but the number of animals coming in the door varies more than some new operators might expect. Walter says those looking to get into the business often are in for a surprise.
Do you realize what's coming? I said, do you know what's happening and what it is to this business? And so many of them don't know what's going on and what it is. It's just, there's more to it, that side of not. It could go back the other way just as fast as it is, as busy as we are, which can be devastating.
Walter has watched his meat processing business ebb and flow with the local weather, But the effect on the number of animals coming in the door has often been delayed by several years. A southwest Iowa drought in 2012 forced many cattle producers to shrink their herds. 2 years later, when those missing cattle would have been ready to harvest, Walter and his employees found themselves without animals to process.
I mean, there'd be weeks that we didn't cut nothing on the table, nothing at all. It would just be, maintenance would walk or, try to fix up some things that needed done. Painted some, made the place look a little nicer and did some odds and ends, some extra stuff.
Today, demand from consumers is still strong, but for some, the price of a quarter or side of beef can lead to sticker shock.
A lot of those city people reached out when the beef prices started climbing back up, and they had to pay out $2,200 or $2,400 in one lump sum. A lot of them people understood and worked with it, but a lot of them didn't understand and couldn't do it because they were used to putting out $150 or $200 a week for meat, and you're throwing it all out at once. So it's the budget thing is kind of affected.
Iowa has lost 20% of its small to mid-size locally owned meat lockers since 2010. The succession plan that Cross and Walter have created means that Corning Meat Processing will hopefully buck the trend of small towns losing their lockers as longtime owners retire.
Get ways figured out to get people interested in this business because it's needed big time.
Kind of a success story. Let's hope the supply chain doesn't fall apart or inflation doesn't interfere.